You graduate at the top of your college class, then you go to dental school. Then you pass your boards. Then you become an associate. Then you become a partner? That's just the way it works, right? Based on what? How long they've been with you? They want to buy into your practice, and you want them to buy into your practice. So they're going to become an owner because they want to? The road to partnership failure is littered with unknown intentions and miscalculated good feelings. Welcome to the Next Level Executive Podcast, a show dedicated to dentists who want to evolve from a clinician who owns a practice into an executive who leads a business. I'm your host, Perrin Desports. If you own a practice that generates over $1 million in revenue and you're wondering what's next, you're in the right place. I'm not a dentist, but I am an entrepreneur, and I've been through a few partnerships in my recent past, some successful and others less so. The reason so many dental partnerships fail isn't because the young associate isn't a good dentist. They fail for two reasons. One, because they're not ready to become a partner, and two, because you're not ready to have a partner in your business. And that's actually your problem, not theirs. I've learned an awful lot the hard way about what makes for a successful partnership and what are the seeds that sow failure. Some of this is from a legal construct in the operating agreement, and some of it from more of a practical perspective. I'm going to share some of both with you today. While I'm going to focus my guidance on partnerships today, there are a lot more reasons that emerging dental groups fail. I actually went through the process of documenting the root causes of failure that I had seen in working with so many clients in the past, but I decided to stop at the 20 I had seen most often. Believe it or not, there are more than that. If you want to know what I think are the top 20 mistakes people make in building a group practice, then you can download it from the following website, grouppractice.coach. grouppractice.coach. Not only do I tell you what those top 20 are, but I give you an explanation on why each is important. This thing is much more of a guide than a list. So if you want to download it, go to grouppractice.coach. grouppractice.coach. It's obviously free to download. So before we dive into the 3 key reasons why your associate isn't ready to become a partner, I want to impress upon you 2 things that you yourself need to consider. The first is that we need to all but do away with the term partnership. Partnership sounds nice. It sounds egalitarian, and it's bounded in optimism for the future. Hey, we're partners, and we've always got one another's back, and we always stand shoulder to shoulder. Frankly, I'm sick of that. Partnership is a word I'd love to strike from my lexicon and instead use the word ownership. When I say the word ownership, immediately you and I think differently. The word ownership is more of an absolute term in that it conveys total commitment. We get paid last. That's ownership. We are the court of last resort. That's ownership. The buck stops with us. We suffer all of the stresses. Every problem can end up in our lap. That's the life of being an owner, isn't it? How much of that do you think your associate considers when you talk with them about partnership? N-O-N-E, none. So let's make a commitment to one another that we're going to use the term ownership in place of partnership going forward. We're not partners in anything. We're owners in everything. The second thing you need to own, at least figuratively speaking here, is that you bear the responsibility for the partner your associate becomes. Let me state that again in a slightly different way here. If you want him or her to be a good co-owner in your business, then you need to mold them into the person you want them to be. You need to coach and develop them from an ownership and a leadership perspective every bit as much as you would from a clinical development perspective. You know what it's like to be an owner. You know what it's like to make tough decisions. You know what it's like to set the objective for the future, then drive your team to fulfill it. You know what it's like to personally guarantee a huge loan to buy or build another location. You know what it's like to handle a difficult patient complaint or to referee a conflict between two employees or to have to terminate someone you like for substandard performance issues. You know all of that, and they know none of it. They want to be an owner in your business because you make it look easy. It isn't. They want to be an owner in your business because they think it's an unlimited profit stream. It isn't. Do you think it's their responsibility to somehow learn all of this on their own? It isn't. It's your responsibility. So now that I've created or differentiated at least between partnership and ownership, and I've hopefully created some clarity around your role in their professional development, let's dive into the 3 ways you should be thinking about their worthiness to even become an owner: productivity, leadership, and a mindset of equity over income. Here comes the note-taking part of the executive committee meeting. Question number 1 around productivity. Can they replace you or even duplicate themselves in their current role? Yeah, you hired them to be an associate, and that role is all about providing quality clinical services. But that qualifies them to be a dentist. It doesn't entitle them to be an owner. If the ADA average general dentistry practice collects around $800,000, then I'm going to assume the dentist who owns it probably generates about 80% of that total number. So he or she personally collects around $650,000. That's probably the average. Does your associate generate more than that? How much do you personally generate in the equivalent number of clinical days per week? If you collect $1 million and they're stuck at $650,000, then I can make a good case that they're going to be a drag on the value of your business the second they buy in. On the other hand, if they're at $650,000 in personal collections and we're at around $500,000 last year, and you know this year is going to be closer to $800,000, then they're on their way to your level in the future. And this is someone who's going to grow the pie and increase the value of the company. That is owner material. So ask yourself, from a clinical perspective, where are they against the industry average, and where are they against the standard you set? Or if you have multiple associates in your business, then where does this person rank amongst them? And are you about to risk rewarding average performance with the opportunity to become an owner? My answer is a hard no on this. Question number 2 around leadership. Can they take on an administrative or leadership role in the business? What are they good at in addition to clinical dentistry? Being an owner means embracing the part of your job description that basically says, and other duties as assigned. You wear every hat in your business, and that's a limit on growth. What can they take off your shoulders? What do they like to do? Where can they make an impact? Life gets harder when you become an owner, not easier. They think being an owner means you can't get fired, which, by the way, you can. You and I both know that being an owner means no days off. This is where the hard work, the work without compensation, really begins. Why would you want them to become an owner in your business if they arrive the next day and put their feet up on the table. Ownership isn't the finish line, it's the starting line to a much longer, much harder race. Are they willing to put in the time? If not, then they're not owner material in my business. Question number 3 around mindset. Can they afford to buy into your business without any guarantee of distributions? This ought to be fun. Let me say it again just for kicks. Can they afford to buy into your business without any guarantee of distributions? Far too many owners try to sweet talk their young associates into buying into the business by saying, "We'll figure out a way to make your monthly loan payment equal to your monthly distributions, so it'll be a wash to you and your family." Huh? This episode doesn't have an explicit rating, so WTF. This is an abdication of leadership at the highest, most consequential level because you've just set the precedent that their needs come before the needs of the business. That is categorically wrong. The business has to come first, and income and equity are competing interests in a business. We run the business and we manage it in a way that has a healthy margin for error, which basically means creating prudent levels of cash reserves. After debt, taxes, and cash reserve allocations, then we share whatever's left over. Not before all of that. Some months, that might be short of the loan payment for their buy-in. And that's what you had to do early on, wasn't it? You had to put the needs of your practice before the needs of your family. Why would you set the precedent that they shouldn't do the same? Are they even willing to do the same? If their personal lifestyle and fixed expenses demand a certain level of distributions, then that's their problem, not the problem of the company. Sorry, not owner material for me. In last week's episode, I talked about the reasons why bringing an associate into partnership, into ownership, is the biggest decision you're ever going to make. Hopefully, this one gives you a better framework for why so many partnerships fail. More importantly, I hope this episode gives you a better understanding as to why your associate, in fact, probably isn't prepared either. If these episodes are making your head spin because you've got a candidate you're going to have the discussion with sometime soon, then your next step is to join us in the upcoming quarter of the Next Level Executive Program, which is on the theme of partnership and ownership. It's 12 weeks slam-packed of the thought leadership and intense discussions just like this one that give you better command and control of the subject matter. In addition to that theme and foundations, every week we also talk a lot about entrepreneurial leadership of the business we're currently building. We talk about the risks we're taking, and maybe more importantly, we talk about who is actually paying the price for all of it, and usually that's our families. Everyone in this audience is an achiever. None of us have ever failed to meet a goal we set. Then at some point in our mid-40s to early 50s, we start to question what we're doing. Worse yet, we start to question why we're doing it. Have we created our own prison, or have we molded the bars of our own cage? This is the point when the deficit in your bank account pales in comparison to the deficit in your confidence. I know because I've been there too. So don't lose hope, because on the next episode, I'll share a rescue plan for your mid-career crisis. If you're wondering what's next for you and your business, the answer is waiting for you on the Next Level Executive Podcast.